There we go. Now we can talk. But we'll leave the fishies up here while I get other stuff ready. Pow. So let's see what fish we have. Those are Bosemani rainbows and Iranian rainbows. As a false autumn angel. I forget the other name for him. That's one of the angels we bred. That's one of our baby angels. We breed angel fish. Some rummy-nosed tetras. It's the red guys with the flag tail. And since Elgarion was asking, the water is a little yellow because we leave some tannins in the water because the fish like it and it has antibacterial properties. So that's why it's a little. It's not a full like dark water tank. Some people actually go full dark water with using peat moss and other stuff, but volume is a bit low. Let's see. Under the sea. Why is my volume low?
Test. 1, 2, 3, test.
Yeah, it does seem a little off. Maxine, I'm on my stream. Hi.
Hey.
You're better.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Maxine.
Wow, that's really loud, but thank you. Also, today's not my birthday. 2 days ago was my birthday.
He knows.
Oh. Yes, that's the same birthday as my brother.
Oh. Is his name Patrick?
No, it's Jim.
Oh. Missed a great opportunity there.
Yeah, I know.
Maxine sounds a little Irish, right?
I don't know, because I don't know how Irish people speak.
Oh, I just meant that the name sounds a little Irish. Do. All right, yep. Spring has sprung. That's the thing. And it looks like we're getting some questions going on. Good job.
Did you like my Irish music?
That was great. And the dancing that no one could see. All right, you got to give me some space here, Pumpkin. I got to get back to talking about important stuff like fish. And yeah, we'll talk about some balance changes that are coming up. We've got some crafting stuff to talk to you about, some food stuff coming up. Lots of things to talk about. And fish. I'm gonna put the camera on a different tank next time. I've got a tank full of killifish. Maybe I'll do that one next time. Let's see, 3:57. We could probably go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna eat my last couple little snacks. And then, let's see, what happens if I do that? Bam. Here's one camera. Oh, I got you on the wrong monitor. Let me move you around. Bam. Yeah, now we're cooking. So been one of those big things I've been talking about is the whole campaign to get people to use gas. And why am I still a little quiet here? I'm surprised I'm quiet. I think you're fine. I've got the volume up on you, but looks like I'm not maxing anything out or coming anywhere close to maxing things out. I need to turn my knob. Did my knob get turned down? Testing.
Ah, that is a little quiet.
I need you to leave now, little girl.
No, okay. Sorry, I just wanted to sing on stream.
I'm not sure why this is so quiet now. I'm seriously need to get out of here.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Bye, Maxine. Bye-bye.
Okay, my volume's fine. Okay, yeah, I'm not getting up quite as loud. I'm not getting up to the red. I'm only getting into the green and the bottom of the yellow, which is quieter than I normally am. So I'm not sure what's up there. Hold on, I'm gonna check one more thing here. Under the sea. That's where I'll be. Testing, testing, testing. Is that better? That might be better. It's a little bit better. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. It just seems to be a little bit quieter overall. All right, then. I think we're ready to go, though. Let me hide the fish there. 1 second. Oh, great. I don't have the game ready. And hold on. Let me get the game up, and then we can do it. I got 1 minute. We're not late yet. We're not late yet. Okay, I think we're late. 1 second. Speaking of late, had some QA builds that ran into the infamous package manager bug that breaks the build, makes me restart it. But anyways, the QA builds are running a bit long. I'm hoping they'll be done by tonight, and I'll have that out for you guys so you can playtest some of this stuff. I'm trying to make sure and get this stuff on here at least, well, now a week ahead of time, a week before the build, so I can get feedback on things. Nothing that has gone in terms of the balance stuff is final. But one of those things I think is important for people to remember is when we talk about balance, there's always this false, well, I don't know if it's false, but just wrong idea that rather than fix actual balance by bringing some things down and bring things up and try and get to middle level, that everything should just be brought up so that everybody is as powerful as the most powerful thing in the game. And that's just not a feasible thing. That would require, we can't balance the game by constantly lifting everything up. That has been done some, probably to the detriment of the game long term in some aspects. So, oh, we're on a hype train. Woohoo! Already got level 1? Didn't even notice.
Thanks, guys. Did you want to show off a town called Lightbringer Isle?
Why, I would love to.
Recently.
Let me go ahead and hide the fish camera and see if it actually picked up the right... Hey, it did pick up the right thing. There we go.
Lightbringer is one word.
Lightbringer Isle. Got it.
They got a jousting area set up as well, if I recall from their screenshots, and just a real nice town setup.
And tomorrow I'm going to be at the... It's jousting and fishing, or horse racing and fishing tomorrow, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, jousting, and then somebody did mention and asked if you wanted to stay for the fishing portion as well in the forums. And that's in Iron Hall. He's considering changing his town's name to Kingdom of Iron Hall.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, in Iron Hall. Yeah, that's where I'll be tomorrow. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be, at least for the start of it, I'm going to bring some extra prizes, and I'll stream some of it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stay for the entire thing. I honestly don't know how long it's going to be, but I'll be there I'll probably stream for an hour tomorrow, so you can look for me online for that. Oh, but back to the balance thing is just that I think people need to understand that there are some aspects of the game that are out of balance for various reasons, and as I dig into them, I can kind of see how things got to the point where they are, where they at one point were balanced and no longer. But the reality is some things have to be brought down, and people can scream bloody murder and nerf and threaten to quit the game, but we have to fix them, even if it means some players might quit the game or some players have to change their playstyle. Wherever possible, we're going to make whatever changes we can to make sure the loss is minimal. Anytime I touch a skill, I try to make sure and set it to 100% unlearn. So if you're really upset about it, you can unlearn the skill, and just the experience goes back into your pool, and you can get a respec to something else if you want to. But the reality is some things just have to change, and some of these changes I think people saw going on are some big things and some long overdue things. Just some stat inflation is really the cause of what a lot of those things turned into, and that's due to a number of things: new gear types, new gear enchantments, and masterworks, even multiple new gear slots that can have additional stats on them. that didn't used to exist when initial plans were made. So, and also you guys are pretty crafty guys. You guys always, whatever we set our goals for, you guys always seem to exceed whatever our targets are for things. So, but anyways, welcome to the stream, to the Shroud of the Avatar Friday stream. My name is Chris Spears. I am Atos in game. I am also Chompers or Chompy or any number of other things in game. I move around on different characters because I'm always testing stuff. This is actually my kind of stealthy character, although I'm in the wrong one. What's the name of it called? Lightbringer's Isle?
Lightbringer Isle. Lightbringer, one word, and Isle.
And Isle is ISL?
ISLE. Try to summon you. Maybe you weren't online yet.
I'm probably GM Ghost, so it probably says no, even though you're another GM. A lot of our GM stuff is like that, so you can spy on other GMs. Don't trust anybody.
Right.
And I'll get around to thanking people here in a few minutes. Looks like we're just about done. Only a level 1 hype train? Oh, that's disappointing. Normally level 2 is like the sweet spot in terms of where you get stuff. But that's good. Laney will be thankful. There's less stuff to send out, so. All right. Oh, and I think people have seen the green water. We've actually had a couple of people request, after seeing this, they requested that it stay permanent. That probably will not happen overall, but what I'm going to do is try to get together a deco item that you can place, like kind of you can place the fishing trophies to overload stuff. There'll be one where I'll try to get together one where you can place it to overload the water and put in a different watercolor. So if you really want this, you can have that and just buy it and place it in your pot. So you can always have that.
On that note too, the weather changing device, we're a little behind on that, so that'll be coming soon. Just not exactly sure. So I'm gonna have that already patch in after R87, but it'll probably have to be patching it during R88 or so, R89.
Yeah, that's probably something on me that I'm blocking you on, I'm sure.
I just need the prototype, and then I can mass produce it, hopefully.
All right, and the hype train's over. Thank you, guys. I got lots of people to thank here. Oh, it was close there. And yeah, Gravity, I saw your comment earlier, but I didn't realize what it was on my Twitter stream. He was, somebody was commenting, actually Gravity is one that made it clear what was wrong. Somebody was commenting, why are you nerfing melee so much? And I realized after Gravity posted something that I posted saying that I forget what, I decreased the speed or something like that. I made a confusing statement that made it sound like I was going to make combat both slower and do less damage. Actually, as part of the balance change, one of the things went in, there's a bunch of different goals in there. Some of it's just to get some of the most OP play styles down a little closer to the high end rather than being insane. But another one of those things is to get some of the max hits. Just due to a few things, a number of things that basically all pile up. You know, some players are able to get in the 5K range single hit if they work at it hard, which makes for it's actually not good for their DPS, because if you're going around fighting 1200 hit point things and you hit for 5K, then you just wasted 3800K of damage, or 3800 damage, which is pretty wasteful. So one of the changes that went in is to make the charging of combat quicker, the charging of attacks, melee attacks, quicker. So it'll be about 20% faster to charge up, the little bar at the bottom, if you do free attacks. If you just do auto attacks, then there's nothing to it. You won't even notice a difference. There won't be a difference. But the charged attacks will be faster to charge and do a little less damage. My goal was to make it so the net change in terms of DPS was 0, which actually for the melee guys, again, if you think about it, it's actually, if you do more attacks and have the same DPS, then actually you're going to have better outcomes because you're wasting less damage, by slaughtering, 500 hit point guys. with the 2,000 hit point hits instead of 1,000 hit point hits where you only waste 500 or whatever. But anyways, that's one of the changes that went in. Sorry about that confusion. I think I got some people scared. The melee guys thought I was nerfing them. I'm trying to not really nerf anybody and just make changes that really are needed just to make the game more fun. There's a lot of little things in there. I think it's no secret that fire is by far the most the winning strategy right now. This is nice. Got like a big courtyard area here. Maybe we should fly around. I see some houses over there. But anyways, try and get some fire damage under control. One of those things is just a smaller nudge, which is moving Ring of Fire will not have initial crits. I was experimenting with all AoE, but honestly, Ring of Fire is the most OP at the moment. Meteor Shower kind of second. And some of the other ones are not as OP. But those are things that have multiple hits to the AE. Those will no longer crit on the first. But really, it's just going to be Ring of Fire for this release, because it's really the one that is problematic. Oh yeah, this is neat. I like the layout here. I've got the castle
put a
wall.
lot of time. Actually, I think it's a husband and wife team on that town. But yeah, they did an amazing layout.
Yeah, it's showing all the stuff you can do there.
If you build it, they will come.
And it looks like they got some people here. I think that's why we're showing it off, is they got this all set up now. Are they taking, I guess, visitors or new residents?
Oh yeah. That's what I pulled it off of, was looking for residents post on the forum.
Awesome.
But yeah, and those castle walls, though, to get it to meet up at the other end after you lay them all out, it is quite a challenge. And I've done a much smaller wall scheme, and it's still very, very challenging. So I can imagine they put a lot of time into that.
Wizards, yeah, I've never seen one this nice and this big. I'm now kind of going around looking to see, like, okay, I think right there, I was going to say the thing I'm looking for is where's the spot where they couldn't quite get it and they had to put something a little different in. I guess that's really more of the, that may be more of the, let's sync it up to the other wall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, that layout is like darn near perfect throughout the entire thing. That's, anybody who's done that or who's played with this wall set probably is respecting them right now.
Yeah, the palisade walls are the easiest. They have a lot more squishy edges, and they're even a little forgiving of bumpy terrain for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Well, sounds like, did anybody else hear what I just heard? I just heard Elgarion volunteering to go look at why this wall set is so rough to deal with compared to the others. It sounds like we have a good example of one that works great and has squishy edges, and this one needs some squishy edges. Is that what I just heard?
Yeah. All right, let's see. A collision on wall sets. Actually, one of the wall sets, and I've had this on my to-do list for a while, and my skills are getting good enough, I think, to do it. Do you guys know, like, the wall sets that we use for the really big castle walls, like in the Lord British's castle scene?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to turn that into a wall set, too. They look phenomenal.
Oh, look what we have over here, speaking of doing good things.
Yeah, I got one of the Lodies that actually hasn't picked a wall set yet because he wants to wait for a better one. So that might be the one that gets him to finally pick a wall set, too.
Oh, look. Yeah, uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Brand new content there. Oh, guys, by the way, I meant a little mess up with me with the categorization and tagging for the store. There's actually 3 new items on the store right now, but they're not showing up in recently added. It's 3 sound effects and the way they work, and it's cavern sounds. And just look in adventure design in the store and then go to the new sound effects category. Now, on R88, they'll show up in recently added. It'll be a late addition to the recently added section. They just popped today. So go to adventure design, go to sound effects, and you have ambient sound 3-pack, cave sounds 1, 2, and 3 are there to give a go. And Wizard Smoke even made a little change to the Crown store where you can preview the sound in the store. I haven't tested that yet, too. Well, I don't have sound enabled right now in the game, so I'll have to try it later.
I'm going to show the camera something here that may be something that only Malhari appreciates as another fish guy. Let's see if I can get on there. Hold on. There. See that? There's duckweed on my arm. I was showing green specks on my arm. That's duckweed. I just stuck my arm in a fish tank to adjust some plants. So, but yeah, there's a little plant called duckweed. That's called the it's the tinsel of the fish world, or the STD of the fish world. It's one of those plants that if it gets in one tank, it'll get in every tank, and you can't get rid of it. It's really hard to get rid of, and it just sticks in everything, gets on everything. So, but anyways, this town, Lightbringer Isle, is bringing people. Looks like they got everything set up now and are ready to take on some new residents, which is awesome. Yeah, it's kind of neat. I don't think I've seen this template used that much. This, is it swampy? I guess it's a swampy template. I was going to say this ground type out here is a little different than what I've seen from some others. Yeah, there you got some interesting spaces set up. Just need some people, which hopefully I'll be getting you some people here. I've been watching the numbers and getting some people in, but I actually turned up advertising quite a bit. We had somebody did a video, which I posted on the front page of our Facebook page at least, that was an honest review of the game, which, and I say that as not being biased. I mean, he was actually honest. He hadn't played the game before, but he actually did a review where he didn't do the normal reviewer thing where you jump in, play an hour, and then quit and give it a review. He actually jumped in and played 100 hours and actually really liked the game. So he mentions all the quirks and all the weird stuff and all the, the problems, which, any one of them I can probably go into and tell the whole story of how we arrived at a slightly odd design or something that it's like, why would you do this? Well, there's probably a reason we did that. And yeah, many of the things need to be fixed. But anyways, that seemed like a good thing. So I actually took that and I'm using that as an advertisement right now and promoting it. Spending quite a bit and getting quite a few new players into the game through that. So happy to see that. So if you see some new players out there, that may be part of why, but should have some more people coming in for towns. And I know there's a lot of people out there looking for spots anyways in towns. So give Lightbringer an Isle. Do you know where Lightbringer Isle is located on the map?
No. Well, let me see if it's a Mr. Town. I can check that really quick.
Okay.
I still have my land rush spreadsheet. Yeah, I mean, you kind of lose focus on that when you just teleport from town to town to town.
Yes, that's, and because I teleported here, I won't be in the right spot if I just zone out to Novia.
Okay, unless the name has changed since it was added to Mr. Yeah, I don't see it on my Mr. list. But, this is an old spreadsheet also.
All right, so let me go over a few more balance changes real quick, and then I'm going to jump into some questions. Oh, we should talk about crafting after that. I know some players are excited about that. And by the way, we're going to do 3 drawings, and I think we're saving time to get in a few extra questions and a few more things to talk about by doing them all at the end. So I will do all the drawings at the end. Remember, you don't have to even be on the stream to do it, so if you have to leave early, why would you want to do that? But if you have to leave early, feel free to. You're still entered into the drawing as long as you said the phrase. What's the phrase? Spring is sprung?
Spring is sprung.
Spring is sprung in game. Let's see.
We got questions.
Oh, we have tons. So I will point out a couple of things I did just for balance stuff. And again, there's kind of 2 camps here. Sanyo says, Lightbringer Isle is in Novia, north of Brittany. Okay. That's a good, convenient spot.
Why would he know where a POT is?
Of course. But anyways, so again, there's kind of 2 camps. There's at least some people who just want me to burn it all down and change everything and try to rebalance everything all at once and, really nuke everything, just make all the changes that I think might need to be changed. That will result in a lot of really upset people and a lot of chaos. And it will also result in probably me not getting the balance because I'll turn too many knobs at a time. So when you hear me change things, I'm trying to make sure going forward that I'm changing balance items every single release and trying to hit at least, a couple dozen of the top balance items. So anything on here, if I can explain the reasons for all of them, but a couple of the ones that are coming up, again, I mentioned fire. Ring of Fire loses the front end critical on it. So it doesn't do crit damage on the very first hit. Normally it would let you do crit damage on the very first hit. So that's a small reduction. The other thing is it increases the cast time for Ring of Fire and Fireball are increased by a half second. Again, as I continue to work on focus stuff, there's a few more focus changes going in that will draw more focus. Ohio State went down. No! I gotta look at my bracket. Totally forgot it's March Madness first day. That's basketball for those out there who don't know. So there's a few things that gained an increase in focus cost. Multi-shot went from 12 base to 15 base. There's a calculation for focus use based on skill level. So it increases with skill level. I think people see that it doesn't. The higher their skill level gets, the higher the number gets. If you're low level, like something may only cost like 10 focus, and as you get to you got it at level 120 or something like that, it may cost 25 focus. So that curve went up just a little bit. I looked and it didn't look like it increased things more than about 15 or 20% at levels 120 and 30. Let's see. Let's hold on one second here. So there's some Shield of Air changes that have gone in. Right now I'm looking for feedback. I made 2 changes. I'm not sure both of them will stick or either of them will stick. It's a really tough skill to fix because it's really, for a lot of players, it defines their whole playstyle. Is their light armor, they move around fast, and they want to have no armor, air magic, and Shield of Air, and have that really high. It's really a defining thing, as it kind of defines their whole defense, which has been part of the problem. Is it's one of those skills that, due to the inflation of the maximum level you can get your dexterity to, what was a skill that was targeted to be around, supposed to get to an exchange rate of 0.4 to maybe 0.3 if you're really awesome. There's players who can actually get it down into the 0.1 range, and 0.04 I think is the lowest I've seen anybody get it to. And what that means is, if it's at 0.04, is if you get hit for 25 points of damage, you lose 1 point of focus for it. That's the exchange rate of damage to focus when you get hit. So that's the absorption rate. So it's a skill that is very defining, but it is also, in its current state, insanely OP. I had posted earlier in the release about I was going to cap it to 0.2. So I don't like the idea of capping it. I think that causes some problems, and then it's okay, well, why would I ever raise this skill more than 97? 97 is the highest I ever want to have it, because I'll never gain anything more from it. So I'm not doing that, but it does need to be brought down. So I've got 2 changes in. One of them's a little more wonky than the other one. One of them is probably a safer change, which is the math for it is the calculations based on skill level plus dexterity divided by 5. That's kind of the core value that's used for things. And when that came out, the dexterity divided by 5, dexterities were kind of maxing out in the 250 range. Well, now I've seen people getting the dex up above 400. And that's really what has kind of thrown things out of whack, is you can really get, level up skill level, but then you level up your dex to insane levels, which, guess what? All ranged archer guys want to do that, air mage types. So that's really pushed it to a point of being very imbalanced. So, the best tank in the game are basically air mages or archers who have really high dexterities and a good Shield of Air. So I made 2 changes on this. Again, one of them I'm pretty sure will stick. The other one I'm still questioning, but I'd love to hear some feedback. Again, these are in for feedback. We got a week to change these things. If I'm not sure about them, I will just pull them out before the next release, and we'll keep looking for a better way to fix it. Because everybody has an idea of how to fix it. Trust me. Even on the team, everybody has an idea of how to fix it. But there is no perfect way to fix it, and trying to come up with a thing that makes it so it still feels like there's a reason to level it, which the hard cap would have killed, but not making it super OP. So the first one was just changing the simple math behind the skill level plus dex divided by 6. So I know that sounds really simple, but just that one little simple change moves it so the people who are in the absolute top-notch everything, it moves them from about a 0.1 exchange rate to about a 0.2. And it hits everybody the same. And again, it doesn't feel that bad, and it really shifts things to a bunch. So divide by 10, yes. And dividing it by... Yeah, there's a ton of math going on. I'm trying to come up with math that works, that looking at how players do things, because I know there's a lot of players who really have built their whole character build around this. So I know there's some people who are very sensitive about it. That's the one change that's easy. It's just changing some of that math to move it so the exchange rate moves up and gets more into the 0.3 range as kind of a limit over time. And then the other one that just went in, this one, again, to me, if it had been like this from the start, I think everybody would not question it. They'd think it's kind of cool, and they'd probably still use it. But putting it in now, it's a very different requirement for the playstyle, which is making it so whatever that exchange rate is, when I'm talking about the 0.1, and again, what that means is if you take a point of damage, it takes off whatever that number is focus. When you have the skill and just get it, that rate is like 2, not 0.2, but 2. So if you take a point of damage, it takes off 2 points of focus. When you get it up to like 80 or something like that, you may have it to a range of like a 1 exchange rate. So the second change that went in, and yes, I did put both of these in for testing so you guys can see how they feel, is that exchange rate is also used as a multiplier for all focus regain stuff. So that is not just your regening your focus yourself, like your normal combat focus regen that you get from like food and just regening, but also from things that add focus, like using a potion or using you can't actually use death magic to regain focus on there. But so if you get it down to a 0.2, that's great, but your focus is going to regenerate at 20% the rate. A focus potion will only help you 20% the rate. It's kind of actually interesting if you look at the math, because with that, if you drink a potion for 300 focus, it'll stop 300 points of damage. Now, it may only give you 60 focus, but that 60 focus, if it only gives you 60, then it's going to stop 300 because of the multiplier. So, anyways, that's the other one that's in there. That one is very experimental. Again, that kind of requires a different play style, so I expect I'll get some strongly worded feedback on that. I do think it's a pretty interesting change, but just because it is so different, it kind of will require some players to take a break briefly. They can keep it up for a while, but then eventually they're going to have to take a break to try and regen all their focus. So let's see.
Did you paste the questions in yet somewhere?
I have not pasted the questions, and I will get that going up. Let me cover a few more. Oh, actually, I'll do the questions right now. So you can start looking at those guys. Let's see. Hold on one second. I'm going to get back to a few more items.
Cool.
There we go. So let me get back. Let me go cover a few more balance items. Let's see. And again, for those guys, I know some people can get a little tense with talking about some of these changes, but again, it's all for the for the health of the game long term. We can't have things that are really unbalanced and just leave them there. We have left them there. Many people think I've left them unbalanced for far too long, but I am trying to fix these things. But again, getting really angry about it is frustrating. It just makes me sad, but I still know I have to pull off some of these band-aids to get the game to a state where it does feel better for the long term, and new players coming in don't see things as unbalanced. And it also generates, when there's things that are that unbalanced, it generates a lot of friction between players, a lot of hostility between players, because there's guys who don't want to play that one style, but they feel they have to, and there's a lot of, I see it in the global chat. Because I keep global chat up on one of my windows at all times, so I can see it stream by. But I see a lot of tension and that type stuff generated just by some of the balance issues and players not being able to play how they want. Let's see, a few more things here. Thank you, Eileen Dragonfire. And I will get to thanking people here in just a minute.
Good question from Malhari.
Okay.
Can the float meditate emote continue on like dance or smoking? And I've seen Damon knock those out on those requests before, so I put that in his chat for him in case he's interested.
I think that one's just a... I think that may just be a flag to set it to loop in there. I'm not sure if there's anything else, but that should be an easy one.
Yeah, well, I think you hover up and then you hover back down. So if it loops, you would continually like maybe touch the ground and then back up again. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's been a couple of things, and for some of these, again, when I'm looking at changes for these balance, and I don't have that many more things to talk about right now. But some of these change for balance. I have to look at things for PvE, and I'm trying to not mess up PvE too much, but I'm also trying to help balance PvE, or PvP. I'm trying to not mess up PvE while also balancing PvP. This is one of those where there's some math changes that went in that are only for PvP. One of them is curtailing the really high damage hit criticals. And I'm happy to share the math with some of the PvPers out there if they want to see it. But basically, it's just doing a POW function on critical hits. So when they get up into the really high range, it's pulling that down a little bit. And again, the goal is to try and pull down max hits on a bunch of different things, a bunch of different ways, until we get down to the point where there's a lot fewer unsatisfying deaths from players who are not archers using bandit gear. And this exact build that is the winning build in PvP, and also to a large extent in PvE. But anyways, I can go over the math with the PvP people sometime. I'll try and post that on my Twitter stream. Another one that came up was I actually had a bug saying that Fireproof and Blue-Blooded weren't working versus traps. Someone went in and they raised their Blue-Blooded. They stood in a cold trap, and they raised their skill 20 points, and it didn't change the damage. So I went in and checked it, and of course, as sometimes happens, that it actually was one that they'd verified it as broken, but it was working as expected. The bigger problem was Fireproof and Blue-Blooded just didn't give enough of an effect to show any difference. And so I looked at it versus some of the other skills and did kind of my usual weighted, how much does this feel? But Fireproof and Blue-Blooded both have the results from them doubled, so you'll get twice as much resistance, fire resistance, and ice water resistance going forward from those two skills. I think I mentioned earlier the charged attacks for melee will be the speed at which things charge up has been cut down 20% range, and then the damage boost that each one of those ticks gives has been cut down about 20%. Also fixed, someone pointed out the Lead Gauntlets Epic version were no good. They were worse than the Legendary. Same thing with the Quiver of Jealousy. Those have both been fixed. From last stream, somebody, I'm trying to think, might have been Bridge Troll, posted about he hates being an Owl's Head because NPCs are constantly coming up to him and yelling at him on his lot. So I actually went to Owl's Head and moved some of those around. That's not a balance issue. I'm just mentioning it because it's one someone requested from last stream. Let's see. I've got some other stuff here. Let's see. St. Patty's. Fall damage has been adjusted. I think I showed this on a previous stream, but if you go and look at where players die in the newbie scenes, there's just like a circle of death around some platforms that players think they should be able to jump off of and survive. They don't survive. So we adjusted that again. Let's see. Birds return to the Edelman Bird Bath. You would not believe how much drama this caused on the team because some people have such horrible memories of when the bird baths were originally added, the Edelman Bird Baths with the birds above them. So next release you should be able to put your bird baths back out. Since we did a lot of optimization work on the flocks and that stuff and bug fixes, I thought it was a good time to put those guys back in there. So those guys are back in. I just saw LED pop for that statue. I'm going to fix that. Those guys should not be popping that early. Bam! See those guys? I'll fix that for you guys. Just for you, Lightbringer Isle. Let's see. Hold on, and then I'll be done. I'm nearly done. Combat speed slowed down. This is one that I think people read about me posting, that the combat speed bonus was cut in half, or the speed bonus when in combat was cut in half, and a lot of people gasped and said, stupid. I actually played it before I put it out there, and honestly, I could barely tell the difference, and I think that was actually the consensus of most people who actually got on QA and played it. It might be, if you have it side by side, you can see a difference, but it really doesn't feel that, it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel debilitating. And movement speed for characters is one of those things that is, we want you to be able to move fast when you're out of combat. That's all convenience, and that's great. We want you to be in combat. It makes it really difficult for AIs to be AIs, for them to keep up when players can move around it. Effectively, they were moving in the neighborhood of 45 to 60 miles an hour, if you put it in real world terms. So it makes it really, really tough for AIs. And I know people like having it really tough for AIs, but if that's the best playstyle, is just always just moving like madly fast around. It's one of those things where we're forcing you to play that playstyle. We're trying to not do that. Let's see. That may be about it for the big stuff. There's a few more things coming in. Yeah, that's probably it for the important stuff to tell you guys. Now we can get to the other stuff. Did you have any questions you wanted to answer real quick? I'm sure I've got some more that have shown up.
I do need to, next time you start talking about something, I'll read through more, but I'm going to go through some food stuff really quick.
Okay, do it. Oh,
You still there?
I'm here. Go ahead. Are you there? Did I get muted? I'm not muted. I can see my microphone moving. He's really still, isn't he? I think this is a problem on his end. I'm not sure if he's totally statue or... Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and start answering some questions here. Azazel Reborn says, are we live yet? Yes, we are live. Dr. L, for shield air balance, have you considered using a function that allows focus transfer ratio to asymptotically approach a small but finite value of 0.2 from above? I actually looked at a ton of different math for it. And it's one of those things when players, there's this really big challenge, and this is actually, we've gotten into a lot of our math problems that we have, which is you want to make things simple enough so players can look at it. If you look on my Twitter feed, you'll see everybody's like, I want to see the formula, show me the math behind this stuff. And that's, players want stuff to be simple enough so they can see it, they can understand it, they can, when we tell them, here's what the points mean, they can really understand what's going on there. Which means we try to leave some of that math simple. But then when we leave the math simple, we do get into these problems, and it's obviously Dr. L's a math guy, but it is, as you approach 0, you start having problems. It may be if you have something that is linear but it decreases and the value increases based on the inverse of that, as you approach 0, it gets, the power for it goes much higher. So it's one of those things where a simple math formula turned into a really problematic thing, and we left the math simple so people can understand it. I think we have a better tuned spot, which is just understanding where new stat limits go to, and trying to adjust to handle that. And you went silent on me, Elgarion. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I lost internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You froze up there, but you said so still sometimes. I'm not sure if I was waiting for you to blink, and you just didn't blink. You just sat totally still. You want to talk about your food stuff?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that went across. Yeah, sure. So here's the spreadsheet. I'm trying to get everything restarted. A little more. There it is. So here's the spreadsheet. It's been updated since the R87 change on the spreadsheet, guys. I'll continue to keep this updated. In fact, there's a link to it on the forums now. And the wish list area, there's a new... I converted that thread where we were discussing new recipes and people's ideas. Is now converted to just a food spreadsheet updated every time there's a change to it. It helps me work also. So in any case, on that spreadsheet, you'll see highlighted in yellow, those are the new foods, the 23 foods coming for R88. I just got done submitting them and adding them to merchants, the recipes, and putting in all the ingredients, yada, yada, yada. So now I'm working on just getting loot adjusted to accommodate scarcity for ingredients. And let me read out some of these and kind of what they do in case you're not following along. But we've got black cutworm cupcake. There's finally a use for black cutworm. I increased the frequency of where you're going to find black cutworm or the drop rates as well, and in the cotton bushes. But it's going to lower in gold value because of that, and but also you're going to have a use other than vendor trashing it finally. Plesior, and that's going to give you what kind of food is that? That's a health food. It's just going to give you extra health beyond the standard health a normal health type food would give you, or defense food would give you. You got Plesiorus pie. That'll be falling into the feed the village concepts for butchering a plesiosaurus. You'll get lots of fillets, and that's going to be the tier 3 defense health food. Scroll down a bit. You got Yazarin stew. This is actually one of the ones. There was eight-ish foods that were I picked out from people's suggestions. And this one came from Merrick. If you guys don't know Merrick, he's in chat right now. Really cool idea he had, and it's actually like an Easter egg homage to his old Ultimate Dragons guild. Well, I would say probably his current Ultimate Dragons guild. And in any case, it's going to be the bladed tier 1 food for 1 slot, plus 10 thrust damage. And let's see here. We've got Oozy Omelet. More use for slime ooze. Owned by Yazarin Stew. Yazarin's the name of the dragon in Boreas Colossus. And it's going to use all for 1 of each of the obsidian meats. And I did look at the obsidian meat drop rates, and I bumped up obsidian stag because for some reason it was low compared to the other ones. Let's see here. Oozy Omelet. That's going to be the plus 10% crushing power. It's going to be a bludgeon food. Of course, using some slime ooze in there. I mean, it looks yummy. It's like lime jello, so why not, right? We got the nut butter and ooze sandwich, kind of a play off of peanut butter and jelly. And that's going to be the tier 3 3-slot bludgeon food for ground pound damage bonus. We've got emerald ash egg roll, again, kind of similar to black cutworm. We're getting some use for emerald ash borers now that are off of either maple or pine trees. I can't remember which. But I went through there. Tier 1 through 4 trees now will offer them, and the high tier trees all the way up to tier 15 will even have a greater chance. And that's going to be polearm plus 10% puncture damage. Let's see here. Because all these other foods, there's a lot of new stats in there. Obviously, they were new as of R87, so we've already gone through all those other ones. Let's see here. Dragon egg omelet is going to be one of the semi-feed the village concepts. They don't have a horrible drop rate, the dragon eggs, that it's pretty decent. And but I think it's going to make like maybe 12 or 15 omelets. I can't remember. Maybe it was 25. But in any case, that's going to be your tier 3 ranged food for extra multi-shot damage. Tarpon Crunchies is going to be your dex 2 food, 6 dex. That'll fall under Feed the Village. Tarpon's a pretty rare food, or a fish rather. So when you salvage one of those trophy fish, you'll get a lot of fillets. Hemlock and ham. That's going to be your tier 2 focus food, kind of similar to the health foods that we talked about a little second ago on the defensive side. And let's see here. That is going to be 200 focus. You got ichthyosaur fried ice cream. That's going to be give you also. I've got quite a few recipes that I'm using vanilla beans, so you'll have a lot more use for that crop in agriculture. And that one's going to be your focus 3. Keep on going. And I'll look at chat comments here in a second too. But feel free, there's a thread I'll post a link to that if you want to comment on some of this stuff, just remind you where it's at. Pickled plant pollen. Of course, I put it under chaos food because chaos magic, because it's more of a PvP oriented loot item. Well, chaos magic is a more PvP oriented skill tree, and plant pollen you find in PvP scenes off of those deformed plants and stuff. They're in a few other spots, but yeah, so pickled plant pollen is going to be for you chaos mages out there. Hopefully more and more as time goes on as chaos gets more effective. Bone broth you use for your animal bones. You can make that for your tier 1 death magic attunement food. Trilobite jambalaya. I believe that recipe was recommended by Sorgan Texacal. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. That'll be your tier 3 Earth attunement food. Not a ton of feed the village concept on that because the trilobites are actually not a full-on trophy fish by any means. They're just like a common lava fish. Crackling cornbread, that's going to be your tier 2 fire. It's going to make use of crackling in oil, a recipe that never really got any use. You can make crackling in oil, but you couldn't use it for anything. So now you can. And that's actually, crackling in oil is going to be prevalent in about 3 recipes. A lot of underutilized ingredients snuck in, guys, so expect to have a little bit more things to put in your agriculture system and start growing more crops. This recommendation, the Norgardian Lefts, and I might be saying it wrong, that came from Browncoat Jason. And it's like a flatbread kind of looking thing. And that's going to be a 5 life attunement food. And I don't think that has any underutilized ingredients. It might have had 1 or 2. Let's see here. Spindrift shark fritters. It's just an additional shark recipe, making use of shark fillets. That'll be the 15 life attunement food. That'll fall under Feed the Village, so you get lots of fillets when you salvage a shark. And then Sanya wanted a food, so we got Sanya's vanilla chip cookies, 5 moon attunement, and that'll make use of vanilla bean. We got Papa Holly's savory sandwich, and this is an Easter egg and a tribute to Browncoat Jason's grandfather who had a special recipe for making a open-faced turkey sandwich. Couldn't making the word open-faced in there made it too long and stuff, so shortened it up a bit. But one thing that's going to be interesting about some of these ones that are kind of similar to sandwiches, remember when I said that all of the food, or all the starter foods are basically like wheat bun, the baguette, the slim bread loaf, all those things, just the breads, lemon bun. There's 7 of them, I believe. Well, they're all in food recipes now. So not only are there starter foods and useful starter foods because their buffs last, I believe, 30 minutes and they give you significant tier 1 regen. They're all just tier 1 slot foods. They just don't have a special stat as all. There is a classification for those that any of those breads can be used in those type of recipes as a component. So even high-end players will need those starter foods as a component. They still drop as loot and they're still available on merchants. We've got mutton, lettuce, and tomato. I'm sure you guys probably are familiar with what that Easter egg comes for. Somebody recommended BLT, and then somebody chimed in on the forums with, well, how about MLT? And I was like, oh, heck yeah, Princess Bride, right? So in any case, yeah, that'll be your plus 2.5 melee critical hit damage. So keep in mind, too, we did have a stat for this type of stuff, which included range, but Chris made one specific for this that only benefits meleeers. This is specifically melee critical hit damage boost. You got a 1, 2, and tier 3 food for that now. Spiced tea will be making use of tea leaves, and I did put tea leaves in bone broth as well, so you have extra use for your tea leaves in agriculture. Colossant chips, Feed the Village concepts there. Get some good num-nums, and we only got 2 more here. Shadow Slaw. Shadow Slaw is going to use shadow essences, and that's going to be your will-o-wisp power for all your summon foods. And then fried phoenix fingers. Fried phoenix fingers. Say that 5 times fast. And that's going to be phoenix power. And also don't forget that phoenix talons are dropping. Every time you kill a phoenix, you get 1 to 2 talons. So you'll have much better capability to make those, and they make quite a few phoenix fingers. Just imagine you broke up all into little pieces, little bite-sized pieces. So, okay, that's what I got for the food changes coming.
All right, well, we got some more questions in there. I'll throw some more up. We should probably talk about crafting. Oh, I will say to Dr. Ellen, your math stuff, yeah, math is one of those things, it's really hard. I do get a lot of the math stuff. I do a lot of spreadsheet stuff. I have a lot of ideas on it. But I will tell you, when I actually interview for programmers and I'm looking for someone that is doing anything other than just generalist programming, I usually will favor engineers or math majors over computer programming, because it's much easier to teach programming to a math guy than teach math to a programming guy. So anyways, thanks for the advice on the math, and you're absolutely right, but again, there's just so many things that factor into it. It's not just about coming up with a right formula. I sure wish it were, but taking stabs. We'll see where this one goes. I think just getting the numbers adjusted for the new expected high level of stats is the right way to go, but we'll see. All right, got lots more questions coming in here, but we should talk about what we came to an agreement on today for the salvaging stuff, just because I think that's kind of exciting. You want to give your version of it, and then I can just tell them if I think you're right.
So upcoming salvage work is going to include use for mundane items. So the one mundane item, of course, people like to talk about most. Just I don't know why, sounds funny. Rusty spatula, but all those type of things are going to be added to salvage tables and stuff like that. If you happen to see a gold goblet or a silver goblet nearby, those will be boosted up a bit too. So you will always want to grab it if you see it, but not quite enough to, well, I'm going to go out looking for them. No, you'll still want to go out and go mining for silver and gold, but you're not going to want to pass one up if you pass by it, because it's just a little quick click, you're waiting for a mining timer. But all those spatulas, all those little vials, and all those type of things. And I'm going to try to come up with fun, clever little things that they can salvage into in terms of crafting. Possibly even come up with additional items they can turn into, even the paintings, guys. Maybe you can get a little dye off some paintings or something like that. But in any case, expect some more use out of those things coming up. And I already have a really good list of them when I was working on, because remember my original thought was to put them into like daily quests. And they'll just be going into like salvage type concepts. And let's see here. And then when it comes to artifacts, there's going to be a big pass. So basically all my work next month is going to be artifacts and salvage. And I won't finish this portion. The artifacts will get a balance pass like we did food, and try to make every artifact have a purpose, and people will have a desire for it. Will it necessarily be better in crafting? That's not my goal by any means. But every artifact will be also able to salvage into a component, like a mossy green handle. And so even an artifact that isn't very popular may be able to be salvaged into a component that is popular. And if you add an epic, which keep in mind, epics will be a little easier to obtain after a point because commons will be more easier to obtain. Coming up with R88, common artifacts are going to be much more prevalent through loot tables. There's a big passive loot improvement coming to your way in R88 next week. And it'll be pretty verbose in the patch notes too, so you'll see like kind of what to expect. And therefore, if you did craft an epic, that would be 100% chance to get that crafting component if you were to salvage that epic. So after you used it up and it was down to 0 durability, you can zap it. Or maybe you didn't get your exceptional, and you're like, well, I'll just zap it and get the crafting component off of it, and then use it in crafting, or sell it to a crafter or whatever. And so just give additional value for those artifacts as well. And then, of course, if you were to salvage like a legendary, you didn't want to wait that long, you wouldn't necessarily have the 100% chance. And then if you went to a rare, etc., you just have less and less a chance to get that special crafting component. But of course, those are more and more common as you get down the list. So, so that's basically the nutshell for upcoming salvage stuff.
Yeah, we talked about a bunch of different stuff today. This is something that I've mentioned for a while, but we kind of fix some of the problems that we're having with it, which is, if you're going to salvage stuff and you're going to salvage an epic and you salvage a uncommon, like how do we have that different? Do we have like an epic element that comes out of it and an uncommon? And that just really was another one of those multiplicative problems of just insane amounts of work and balance and everything. So that was the solution, was to make sure the math stays there, and then it gives you guys a way to, like you screw up an item, you have a way to get something out of it. And also for those people who are out and like to gamble, you can always just like, hey, I got an uncommon, I'm going to try and salvage it and see if I get the thing. But also I know there's some people out there who hate the RNG side of things, and if that's you, then you can always keep crafting it up to make sure your chance is better and better, or 100% chance if you get it up to epic. But anyways, I'm excited about it. Mostly that you're doing it, which means it'll get done.
Yeah, I'll try to just do a lot of research before diving in terms of building my spreadsheet so I can do a really good side-by-side comparison. And I know Elron has just spoken up. He's like, oh, we're back to components. I thought we were going to do gems. I'll try to do a mix. There may be things that do gems. There may be things that do hilts, handles, yada, yada. And you're like, oh, well, then everything's just going to be artifact pieces. No, absolutely not. All those crafted pieces will be looked at as well in terms of the balancing pass. And most definitely, do you know when you're initially crafting your crafted items and you're taking binding straps and sheets, stuff like that, what they offer to the initial crafted item, I'm going to look at that too and see if those can be tweaked up. So an initial starting point piece for your crafting that you start enchanting and masterworking will be more powerful as well. So hopefully that kind of makes some crafters happy also. Now that may not make it for R89 though, guys. That part. Yeah.
I saw Alphane mention he's getting some lag spikes. I've had some people theorizing that because we changed servers, and I mentioned that the server was a little weaker than the other one, that it was a server. We're actually having better server response times from the new server than we were getting from the old one. So I don't think it's anything to do with the server. It's exact same data center. I don't think that has anything to do with the lag. But Alphane, that's curious that you say you get like 2-second lag spikes where people stand in place and don't get anything. That's got to be, obviously, you're in a totally different, opposite side of the world. I'm sure it has to have something to do with that. Hopefully that's just a you thing and a lost packet and lost packets along the way. But I don't think anything has changed that would cause that. And hopefully it'll clear itself up. We see those occasionally. And yeah, you may want to try doing a trace route to us and see, do a trace route and see how many packets you lose along the way. And we're going to be way over time already, but that's fine. I want to answer some more questions, and we got to do the drawing. So I'm going to start the drawing, and then we can do some questions. And then I got to thank a ton of people here. Do you see any questions on there you can answer while I get the stuff going? Oh, it looks like QA.
Yeah, let me look.
Finished.
I was blabbing too much. Let me see what I can find. All right, so here's one, and something I was thinking about the other day. I'd like to figure out how to add things to the obsidian forge in Hilt for more recipes you could do there. But somebody's asking, when will obsidian armor become useful? And I'll take a peek at that and maybe kind of when I look through the making the initial crafted item better, I'll definitely look at obsidian armor as well and see, because that's a lot of obsidian chips you guys put into those, a ton. I can't remember what somebody was telling me, like 17,000 chips or something for a full set. I can't remember, but it was a lot of chips. So, and then watch, it's not an exception. And then you cry. So, yeah. Keep in mind, exceptionals are easier to do now, but that got some love, but it's still not a 100% chance by any means. So, I think it caps out at 50% now. But, yeah, I'll look at those as well. And that came in from... I'm not going to try to say that name. In a knock it over. I did try. Cactus. That came in from... Inadequate Cactus. There we go. All right, let's see here.
And I'm trying to get the prizing going.
Is there a way to preview a heraldry blazon on heraldry items before we submit our design? Not really Dogface Menace, but me and Laney are really liberal on if you submit one that you didn't end up liking how it turned out, just let us know. We'll unlock your heraldry form again to resubmit it. It's no big deal. It only takes, like 2 minutes to find you in the list and reset the form.
That's interesting. Coswald Dirthmeyer mentions that chip prices are dropping towards NPC values after the imbued resto changes, it seems. For those who don't know the imbued resto changes, this may not mean much to many of you, but for whatever reason it was set to a 7 difficulty where it should have been set to a 6 difficulty. So it was just slightly better than anything else you could craft in terms of gaining experience. And Visas fixed that a few weeks ago to bring it back down. But that only came up because I kept seeing, I watch economy stuff all the time, 12 hours a day. And that's one of those things I would see these spikes occasionally, people selling 30,000 of these one potions. Like, why is it always that one potion? And I asked B, like, can you look at that and see why it's always that one potion? And he looked at it and fixed it. So, again, it's one of those things that probably upset a few people, but it is one of those things in the long run, having balance in there is kind of silly to have this one potion that people would just make this one potion, 30,000 of them just to sell to vendor for experience. At least mix them up a little bit, so. All right, I'm going to get into some questions here. Oh, let me make sure I got the prizing still going full speed. And then we'll be able to do those in just a minute.
Here's a good question for you. I know cooldowns are, there's an important aspect with cooldowns in going from a static to a dynamic deck, and how that works. But this question's a different nuance. It's what about cast time? Does basically a dynamic deck eradicate all concepts of that, I would think?
I mean, it still has the cast time. That's like the time from when you hit it to when the spell executes. And there's actually two numbers there. One is how long from when you start it to when it cast. And then there's another one that is how long you have to stay still or you can be interrupted during the time. But we largely let people move around. And that cast time is also used if you are, that's the same time used for like charging up something in the normal mode if you're not using the dynamic one. But yeah, there's still a cast time. The thing that, for those who haven't really put it together yet, if you use the dynamic deck and you're building stuff out that way, the really big advantage of that is there's a cooldown time thing. If you just have like a fireball up there, it may have like a 20-second cooldown. You can only, if it's locked, you can only use it every 20 seconds. And really you can use it 6 times or 5 times before it'll be full of heat. But for those who don't know, also if you're using the lock decks and you're using skills and you see it has like it's filled in somewhat with some different colors, that's showing you how much heat that skill has, and the higher that gets, the more focus it's costing. So you can really burn through some serious focus if you don't pay attention to that. The advantage of that, and that has a cooldown, but the difference is the lock cooldown only, basically you have one thing that's unlocked. Every 20 seconds you're going to get one back. Every 20 seconds it removes one worth of heat. If you have the dynamic one, those guys are all on different cooldown timers. So if you have 5 of them in there and they're 20-second time or cooldown or whatever, then each one you can do bam, 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 bam. An average of 4 seconds. You can do one every 4 seconds rather than one every 20 seconds in the long run. For most combat situations, it won't matter because their combat situations are generally fairly short, unless you're sitting at like a control point where it's just non-stop action. But it does matter to a lot of people. I think I mentioned earlier today on Twitter that I was looking over the DPS and who the top DPSers were, and I was actually really happy to see that it wasn't one specific play style, and it wasn't just one specific skill people are using. That I'll give you guys some hints. Yes, Ring of Fire was in most of the top DPS builds. One that I was excited to see in 4 or 5 of those builds was Evaporate, which made me wonder if I need to go look at Evaporate. But all those guys who were in the top DPS were using Evaporate as a combo, and Ring of Fire and Firebolt and a few other things. So Massive Pets isn't a build. Massive Pets is that's a playstyle, but it's not the things I worry about. I worry less about builds that deal with survivability. The builds that can become more unbalanced in terms of long-term gameplay are, just in terms of gain experience, are always the DPS. Who's maxing out in the DPS, because that is the max how quickly you can kill things. So pets are pretty powerful, especially tamed pets, but they don't tend to be in the tops on the DPS builds. The guys who are usually in the tops in the DPS builds usually don't bother with pets because they're killing things so fast. They don't really need to. So let's see.
Do you have any more questions to paste in?
Yeah,
we just have that one small set.
Necronauta, I know what Evaporate does. It's basically the reverse of Douse. It's a juxtaposed Douse, which lowers their fire resist, which can boost the fire damage up even more. So it doesn't. I was just wondering if it was applying too much. Made me want to go check to see if it was maybe applying too much. We got one more prizing to go, and then we can read off the prizing in just a minute. But I've got some more questions in there. Let me read off answer a few quick. And actually, I can copy a few more in there. There's some more for you if you want to see if there's anything that makes sense for you to answer. Let's see. Mad Chef of Xenos. Will high-level players still be able to die from fall damage? Yes. There were a few adjustments to things. Really, the big change that went on. Hi, 7-year-old.
Guess what, Dad? I'm almost done with my Excel.
Wow, you're almost done with your school for the day. It's only 5 o'clock. It's pretty good.
Dad?
Yeah?
It's actually 5:04.
Yeah?
Also, I want to finish a little earlier than that.
Okay, well, get out of here so I can do my stream.
Okay.
There's the amazing 7-year-old Maxine. Turned 7 a few days ago, that's correct. So the changes that were made to the fall damage. One is the math behind it stays the same. A few of the numbers were tweaked. There's one value that is how far you can fall before you start taking damage. That number was previously set to 2. I actually adjusted that to 4, thinking that would be enough to save the noobs in the starter scene from the common falls they were experiencing, and it was not. The actual fall that people were like, we shouldn't fall from this height. How high was it, Elgarion? Do you remember? It was like 10 meters or something like that.
Right, really low.
There's an argument of people that 10 meters shouldn't hurt you. It's like, that's like 33 feet. If you fell from 33 feet, you're going to die most of the time. And there's actually a site that tracks what your odds are from dying from different falls. And it turns out 60 feet is or was it 40 feet? 40 feet, I think, was the 50-50 chance. You have a 50% chance of dying from a 40-foot fall. This is in real life, just people who've tracked distances people have fallen who died. But anyways, that number was changed from 2 to 4, and then I think it's at 6 now, so you don't even start taking damage until you fall 20 feet or more. And then the damage over which it gets to a point where it gets really big was increased from 8 meters to 15 meters. And then the damage cap per meter fell was also set. That's the one that really, for high-level players, that's what matters to them. That was set at a cap of 35 points of damage per meter. And that's only once they've fallen a pretty good distance.
Guess what?
And it was lowered to 20. Good job. I'm still on my stream.
Oh.
Trying to pay the bills here, honey.
Right, sorry. I'm just so excited.
I know.
I'm done in a minute.
So you can still die as a high-level player. It will be harder to die as a high-level player. But yeah, with safe fall, the damage changes. You should be able to fall from pretty good distance without dying. I know that was one of the things, if you've been to the Rise and those overlapping bridges, I actually set those up. Initially, that was supposed to be a level 80 player would survive that drop down, and a level 79 would die. Was kind of how I had those things set up. That's completely different now. Now people just casually like bloop, 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 jump down on those platforms and don't worry about it. So, Azazel Reborn, can we get a spreadsheet of technical changes made to the game so players know what has changed? I can get some of the math that has changed out to you guys. There's some things that it's just too nuanced in terms of that stuff, and it's not really formulas. Like, for instance, the Shield of Air change, where I can tell you about what has changed, where the current change of it limiting focus regen based on how good your transfer rate is. That's one that I really have to explain. But there's a few things that the math has changed, and I can tell you about those things. Like, for instance, I think the PvP crit, the PvP damage is all damage in PvP. And this was something to adjust the focus to make lower players feel more powerful and to bring down the critical power or damage for players. But the math for that, the change on that was in PvP, damage is now multiplied by 1 point, or taken to POW 0.8, Mr. Math guy out there. So it's taken to a 0.8 power. 0.5 would be a square root. 0.8 power. So that really just pulls the curve down quite a bit. And then the whole thing's multiplied by 1.5. And the result is if you were hitting for 60 to 75 points of damage, your damage will be about the same. If you're below that, hits below that will increase somewhat. Not much, up to 50% at a really low damage level. And then when you get up into those like guys who are hitting for like 3,000 points of damage, those guys are going to be pulled down to more like 2,000 points of damage. And again, that's just one of the many things that was done to try and reduce the number of one-hit kills and try to bring down the PvP side of things. That is only PvP, not PvE. Only PvP. So that's kind of the math. I can share some of that stuff with you, but there's a lot of math that's just hard to share. I will try to get a better change list ready for you guys for this time around. But also, the QA build is done. I will be getting that live tonight. It finally succeeded. So you can go try most of this stuff out yourself.
I got 2 questions I can knock out real quick. So we got Cora has asked, can patterns be set up to drop alongside other salvage drops rather than instead of? I believe that was part of Lisa's salvage work is that type of stuff, but I still have to look into salvage next month to see all of what I can be doing with this new setup. And so, yeah, don't lure me on that, but I believe so. But also, when I go through the mundane item concept for trying to let more salvage things salvage into things, a whole bunch of recipes and patterns that you get on a repetitious basis, you might be able to get a little wood pulp from that stuff to use to make scrolls and stuff like that. Not a lot, obviously. Not enough where you're going to buy the stuff off of the NPC merchants that sell recipes. You're not going to pay 100 gold for a single wood pulp, but yeah, it'll give you use for it at least.
A few more questions here. I see Savio Vehemens asks, are we any closer to figuring out the RTX issues? I am honestly not any closer. I have not been able to come up with any reproducible cases. I think it's one of those things that's also hard to tell. I almost feel like I need to tell you guys to, if you have it happen, type in chat, RTX lag or something like that so I can go and find it, because there's a lot of situations with the frame rates varying, machine to machine. It's really hard to figure out when it's happening. There was an error that was causing some problems, that it was an error I'd seen in a couple of the cases people had reported, but that has been fixed. So if people are still seeing it, then that definitely didn't fix it. It was an error, though, that showed up in most of the crash cases I saw showed this error, and it was an error that, was a internal Unity engine error type thing. But we did manage to fix that. David managed to fix that, our programmer, who's doing awesome, by the way. It's great having him on the team. But yeah, I do not have even a good idea on the RTX issue yet. And again, I do have the exact card that some people are having the problem have, and I can't reproduce it. And I've spent a ton of time in there trying to reproduce it. I've tried zoning around from town to town to town. But I'm not seeing any error spam that really indicates it. So I don't want you guys to be hopeless on it, but I'm struggling trying to find some issues. I almost need somebody. It'd be great if there was somebody out there who are fairly technical, and on their end they could try. They're having the problem. They can figure out a way that they usually reproduce the problem. Then go try changing your driver, try changing your RTX settings, try changing your your NVIDIA control panel settings. Try changing a few of those things and see if you can track it down. But I'm having real trouble myself, and I have gone to all those panels and turned up all my NVIDIA stuff and forced on anti-aliasing 8x and tried turning on ray tracing, which of course does nothing, but turning on all that stuff, and I'm not able to reproduce it. I would love to have some help on it, but
we've got a question from Welder Mobile. This is in terms of taming components.
Mm-hmm.
Where you need silver for some portions of it. And I remember this question coming up here and there. They actually had an answer for that, and they made 3 new scenes. Have they made teaming more achievable by new players by not requiring silver, which is high-end mat? Well, silver is not a high-end mat anymore as of quite a while ago. They added 3 tier 2 mining dungeons way back in the day. You had Lost White Guard Silver Mine, I believe, Overstorm Gold Mine, and Broken Echoes Silver or Gold Mine. I can't remember which one that is. So you look for White Guard Foothills and Perennial Coast. And one's in Long Fall and one's in South Pilatus. Yeah. But yeah, you can easily get those components as a low-end player now.
Necronut was asking why no earth resistance. I'm guessing that was in response to the blue blood and fireproof changes. Well, fireproof and blue blood were two of those things we see. You know, fire is one of the more dominant schools and always has been for a long time, and still is to some extent. Water is another one of the dominant trees in terms of damage and people using them. Earth has always been a tree that has kind of been defined by the damage resistance rather than earth resistance. But yeah, I'm not sure why we don't have an earth resist in one of these guys, in one of the existing ones. Not necessarily a new one, but yeah, adding on a new passive, because yeah, we've got the well grounded, but there's no earth resist. We just have that. So you should expect to see that. I'm not sure if I will sneak that into one of the existing ones or make that a new one. There's definitely room for expansion within the earth tree, but I will get that in there. So good feedback. That was, I think that was Necronut. All right, we've got stuff. Let's see. Scooby-Doo says, has the water changed color? I like it. Seems good. Yes, the water is green. That was for St. Patrick's Day. Again, this is another one of those things that there was far more heated debate on the team than there probably should have been for it, because I was just like, that's great. It's kind of the fun time of year. And even Boston and San Antonio, they dye their water green for St. Patrick's Day. We should just it's for a fun thing, do it. Some people were pretty violently against it. I think they still probably are. But I will be changing that back, but we were saying some people actually requested, they're like, can I put in like a change request for my town and I'll pay for it? So I'll probably try and add an item. I will add an item that will change the water color of your town. And we'll throw a few colors out there and maybe you can make your water more blue or whatever. So more blue or more green, or we'll see. I think Blood Bay has reddish water. That could be another one. I think we want to stay away from that. There's kind of a unique water out there that is the blood water. There's just a few people in towns that have the blood water. So we'll definitely stay far away from anything blood colored. And I'm not going to do pink or anything like that. So I'll do something, some simple stuff though. Are we ready to do? It's 5:16. We're way over here. I'm sure they want their prizes so they can go back to playing or drinking or whatever they were doing.
If you don't mind, I'd like to run through the events as well.
Oh yeah, go ahead and do that, and then we'll do some prizes.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm just going to do a little bit of spam here. Spam. Yeah, Wilder Mobile, I can look at it. I get one look to see how much silver it actually takes to make a collar as well.
Yeah, I saw that one, the comment about making it easier to do taming. That's, if you guys saw the review that I posted, I mean, that's kind of, it just was a reminder that our game there's a ton of great things about it. Obviously, if you guys are here, you've got over the learning curve and know that, but it is an absolute fire hose of information and complexity, and just a million different features that we don't do a great job of teaching. That's one of those where I think it's just, I don't think we do a good job of teaching it, and that's one that I kind of point people to videos. But I don't know if it's really a newbie thing, but we could definitely add all new characters, give them like a couple of the items as no-trade items, so that they can experiment. They don't have to buy their very first one, because taming's not one of those things where you just do it one time and you're done forever. It's, it takes some practice and takes some time, but it'd be good to let them try it a little bit. How about now?
So
are we ready now?
Are you ready? Okay.
What do you do? You want to read names or you want to read prizes? Your call.
Oh, I'll do names. How about that?
Okay. And we're going to call off, I'm going to call off the prize And then Elgarion's going to read off not one, not two, but 3 names, and he will butcher every single one of them.
Intentionally.
The first prize is ornate bagpipes and goes to...
Well, I'm trying to get my text size adjusted. All right. Goes to Lateralis Stinkfist, Ivan Vasilev, and Mikey Antier. Congratulations.
The second prize, Brown Plague Doctor Mask, goes to...
Oh, Belladonna Rose, Jay Fire, and Malhari. Congratulations.
Ah, my fish friend. Gothic Large Candelabra 3-pack goes to...
Morris Lee, Lebu Lionheart, and Alexander John. Haven't seen him in a bit.
Hey.
Hello.
Ornate Moondial goes to...
Engel, Malik Zandor, and Sight. CYT.
And last, but definitely not least, probably the big prize there, the Green Marble Room Koi Pond Dungeon Room goes to...
It goes Aaron Pope, Savio Vehemens, and Lurgoif Highlander.
Awesome. Congratulations, guys. And I know that Lainey said she was out until Sunday, so she's actually been like sitting on the stream waiting until we call out the names and sending them right then. So we have been like instant response for the past few, but not so much this time. Oh, since Alphane's out there, speaking of instant response, not so much this time. Star mailed me. I finally have your Dark Star Chaos thing here. Star got it to me. And I'm now going to try and mail it to you. He gave me your address, so you should expect that in, what does it take to mail stuff around the world, like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that? I'll get it in the mail soon, but from past experience, it's taken a while to get over there. And it will be going USPS, so there you go. We'll see.
I just got this just in from Alphane. We've got a new piece of architecture he's done, if you guys want to check that out. I'm not sure what town was that in. Let's see if I can tell. Looks like a player-owned town.
When I say I got it from Star, I got a letter from Star, and I'm assuming that's it. I'll pull it out so you can see it. Oh!
All right, so the player events, am I good to go with those?
Go!
All right,
oh,
so
got a bunch of stuff in here.
Here's the page I'm reading from, guys, and I keep this updated on every weekday. Anytime somebody posts a new event, I update it, since we don't have the weekly updates anymore, so I do this on a daily basis. But we've got the Catnip Games monthly fishing tourney, now monthly, not weekly, so a lot more POTs involved at the same time, lava locations, PvP locations. I think PvP location, I think I'm still doing one. I think. Catnip Games monthly screenshot and video contest. Pretty big prizes on this, guys, and I've only got 1 video submitted so far.
What?
1! So that sounds like he might be a guaranteed shoe-in for first prize, which I believe is like a player-owned town lot deed. So yeah, check that out. We've got Catnip Games monthly treasure hunting contest, and that's basically picking 2 locations, PvE, PvP, and I'll be pulling certain loot items from the data to see who got the most of something, and there's big prizes for that as well. Of course, a really sad time as well. We lost 2 really valued, just wonderful community members, Ozzy Questor and Boris Mondragon. And, well, Catherine Rose and friends posted a farewell to Boris Mondragon in the forums. He'll be sorely missed. One-time events, we got the Iron Hall races, that's tomorrow, and Chris Ito Spears is going to be there in attendance and watch the jousting tournament, as well as possibly be there for some of the fishing stuff. We've got the Avatar Express Spotlight of Iron Hall. If you want to learn more about the city before you go, Avatar Express is a great news location. They do lots of publications about player-owned towns and other things going on in the game. Avatar Express Spotlight for Phoenix Haven, same thing, different town. Mad Spider Tea Party is a role-playing event that occurs every 3rd Sunday, I believe, of every month in Jade Valley. So be there, be square. We've got the 500 Crown Fishy Prize, and this is being run by, I believe, Sonia Solar. Yeah, Sonia Solar, and that's going on from now and forever for all eternity. So if you want to have an option for extra fishing prizes, so be sure to participate in that. And we also got 2 more of those fishing contests. We've got the Island of Wonders monthly fishing contest, and we've got the RHEC traveling pop-up fishing contest, which changes locations frequently. And we've got the Lightbringer Isle auction. In fact, we are in Lightbringer Isle right now. At least I was before I got disconnected. And this auction used to take place in Barons Reach, and now it's moved to this playroom town, Lightbringer Isle. Wambi, I don't know if you guys remember Byron Wambi's bookstores back in the day. Well, Wambi's back in the community and playing the game and checking things out, and he's even getting back into fan fiction. And he just wrote a story and put it in the library in the forums, which is a sub-forum to Firelord's Tavern. And it's Dying for a Drink. I got him too. All right, so we got the Horror Stories 2 going on still, posted by Asclepius, and it was written by, who wrote that one? Fetid Surdiddy, that's right. And Asclepius does a wonderful job orating fan fiction. So if you ever read any fan fiction you would like him to orate, and it's professional, sound effects, everything, just let him know. He does it for free. And there is a listing of all those podcasts. Those would be amazing to be on Wax Cylinder. We've got Black Rose Chronicles 13. I still got that one up as well. Also orated by Asclepius, and that was written by Belladonna Rose. And we got the Ebon Viper Book 2, and Blade Rogue has shared some recent chapters of that storyline. And don't forget, we also got, who made this? Tirag, that's right. Tirag made the Dragon Slayer leaderboard, where it tracks 3 tiers of dragon slaying. So if you want to participate in that contest, please do. We've also got Thoric Amara's Soda event calendar. And please make use of this. The more it gets used, the more we will be willing to publicize it. And, the more people use it, the better it gets. We also got sodaprices.com. So I know we lost shroudtheavatar.net. It was an API website run by Titania Zylia. And, Sean Butts jumped in and made this site to help players find a replacement. So you might be able to find what you need over there. Thoric, if you whisper that to me really quick, I'll link it out.
All right, I got a few more things, which I see there's one last question here as I was getting ready to move on with some other stuff. And I also need to thank everybody for bits. But Dysynthetic asked, I wonder if I could speak briefly about the goals, design improvements, changing regarding UI, major challenges, CPU look. That is actually going to be David's first big task. Right now I still have him just fixing bugs and helping out around the team, which is awesome. Never gonna kick a few good bug fixes out of bed, but that's one of the things he's looking at as well. Is his first big task is going to be to redo the UI task, going to be to redo this bar over here, the party bar. One, to make it so it's a little friendlier. It gives you the information you need, but it can't be moved around. We're going to make it so you can move them around, drag them, rearrange them, that type of stuff. But then 2, to dramatically improve performance. This is the biggest performance sink in the game when you're in a big group with lots of people who are doing lots of stuff. More so than having even the VFX and lots of creatures out there. This bar over there. So that is actually his first thing. That also is an easy one for him. We're probably almost certainly now at this point moving to the new Windows GUI, or not Windows, Unity GUI, which is dramatically faster than the older system we have that is now 4 to 5 years old. But that could happen as fast as the talk, which will be not next week's tick, but that could be as soon as we could see some progress on that as soon as the talk, which would be the next release. I also, while I'm looking at the Alphane stuff here, Alphane, this may be bigger than your prize stuff here, is Darkstar sent you a Darkstar collectible card. Look how young he looks there. He looks so young. He also sent you a card. I'll hold it back a little bit so nobody can get the phone number or anything off it, but it's got all of his information, like his own personal card. And then he also has a personal handwritten note to you there. Look at that. You'll be receiving those 2 things too. So personal note from Darkstar. I may throw in a little something too. I was gonna throw in I was actually thinking about throwing in one of my Dippy birds. I still have Dippy birds to give out, but I think the odds of a glass Dippy bird making it through customs and around the world without being broken and turning into a big bag of red liquid is slim to none. So I'll see if I can find something else to throw in there when I ship it to you. All right, I think we probably are to a point where we can wrap things up here. We're missing one thing. Did you do your job? It used to be your job. It's not your job anymore.
Oh, let me just hit refresh. I have the page up.
Okay.
We've got, well, not counting us, so 6 streamers to pick from. Graceful Bard, One Burning Chair, Revenant 84, Serial Gaming TV, Alphane, and Serpentwine.
A couple of those are newer names there, but what's Alphane doing? Is he doing anything interesting since he's kind of the man of the hour here and I'm talking about him?
I believe I see Fancy Deco on his screen.
Fancy Deco. Well, he was mentioning, making me cringe a little bit, that he was asking if I'd been over to see his new stuff. So maybe we should raid him so he can do that stuff. I think I did Bard last week. I'm trying to remember. But he's a great one. If you want to learn how to break the game, he's a great guy to teach you how to break the game. So, but before I forget, let me go around and thank some people here. Thank you, Alphane, for 200 bits and all the other stuff. Winfield, thank you for the sub and also all of the stuff. Maxine actually played with her fishing game, by the way. Just totally personal thing that no one else cares about. But Maxine won a fishing game at a Christmas party at Shroud of the Avatar Christmas party about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. She still has that thing. Trokip, 1,000 bits, thank you. Eileen Dragonfire, 200 bits. Randu, thank you. Dices, Ben Canoli for the follow. The Graceful Bard, thank you. Graceful Bard, the real Black Axe. Thori Kamara, 1,500 bits. Gravity, 1,000 bits. Submarine Mike, 1,000 bits. You guys are awesome. Ihondis, thank you, the long time old buddy. Shadow Vice, thank you. Inadequate Cactus, new follower there. Did he win something? I forget. Oh no, he asked a question. Or he won something?
A question.
He asked a question. I remember you saying his name and butchering his name. Seems like the easiest name ever. But Inadequate Cactus, thank you for the follow. Thori Kamara, thank you for the bits. Malhari, my fish friend, thank you. Mad Chef Azenos, Mad Malhari again. Skaggy Media, Waldo Ptolemy, Treasure Pile, Tomcat DE, Pipe Star. Oh my goodness, you guys are all great tonight. Waldo Ptolemy again, 1,100 bits more, man. Let's see. Skaggy, did I get everybody there? Dices Serpentwine, thank you for the follow. Isogen, yeah, it's taking a while to read that stuff out there. Prince Joss, Games 8 Gamin for the follows. Oh, that's days ago. Those are new people who followed me in the last few days. Alright, so I think we're ready here. Who did I say we're rating?
I believe
we're going to do Alphane. That's right. We're doing Alphane. And let's see. Trying to remember. Is he just Alphane? And I've got to go make food for the family, but I'm going to watch Alphane to see if you can show me some of that lagging. But we are going to give Alphane a raid. I see the Graceful Bard is up there. She's already got 16 viewers in there. She is also in costume, and I'm sure going to be doing some amazing singing tonight, so always a good choice. Then you got One Burning Chair, that's a new person, but they've got 7 viewers. Revenant, always good. Serial Gaming, and Serpentwine looks like a new viewer. But we're going with Alphane tonight because he is the man of the hour, and his prize has been delayed. We'll be getting to him. So, raid Alphane. I will not be singing you out tonight, so there will be no singing. But let's see. We got anything else we need to make sure and cover? I guess, guys, be safe. Have a great weekend. And try not to break too much stuff. I'm going to try to get this QA build live tonight. I've still got to upload it, though, so we probably have, I don't know, 45 minutes or so before it'll be live. But you can go get on there. Definitely get on there and try. I know a lot of stuff I talk about on my Twitter can be a little scary. But again, some of it is I'm throwing some darts out there because it's really hard to tell how something will actually feel and how breaking something will be. So some of these changes are really me trying out some stuff to see how it feels. So definitely give it a try. Let me know and give us some feedback. And we will see you next week. Let's go give Alphane a 100 viewer raid. See you guys next week. Bye. Oh, actually, see you tomorrow. I'll be on at 4 o'clock tomorrow for the horse race. And end. And...